Welcome to Spiritual Psychology. My name's Renee McKenna, and I bring my 30-plus years as a recovering addict and ex-crazy person turned therapist and shamanic healer to bring you snackable teachings on spirituality, psychology, and all things personal growth. And today, I want to visit the 4 agreements. Deep but simple wisdom in a little book written by Don Miguel Ruiz in 1997. As a practical guide to personal freedom. And honestly, I can never remember all 4 of them. And wisdom teachings are always worth revisiting over and over again. Because great truths always apply to us, but they apply in different ways at different times and circumstances in our life. In fact, one of the real downsides of the information age that we live in is that it's very easy to stay skimming along the surface. Always looking for the next new, exciting, interesting idea. And that can hinder us from going deep with the practices and principles that most resonate with us. And trees that grow shallow roots tend to fall over in the wind. And so we're going to take a little dive into the principles of the 4 agreements. And you might even just want to pick one that you can go deeper on in your own life. And so let's unpack the 4 agreements and see what most resonates with you. And so the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word, to speak with integrity, to say only what you mean, and avoid using words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. To be impeccable with our word is to use the power of language to offer love and productive, constructive discourse, and never to use it to cause fear or pain in another or yourself. It's the idea of say what you mean, but don't be mean when you say it. The Eightfold Path of Buddhism offers the idea of right speech. And in order to speak with integrity, we have to have a sense of what our integrity is. And I like the idea that integrity is when what I think, what I say, how I feel, and how I act are all in alignment. And life is always in motion, and we ourselves are always growing and changing, or resisting growth and change. And so that inner alignment of integrity is not a static thing. In order to say what we mean, we need to know what we mean, which requires some time spent with ourselves to clarify, how do I feel? What do I think? What do I want to say? There's a quote attributed to Socrates suggesting before you speak, ask yourself if what you're going to say is true. Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it helpful? Excellent questions to ask yourself if you want to be impeccable with your word. True, kind, helpful, or necessary. Little cheat sheet for good communication. The second agreement, and this is always the only one I can remember, is don't take anything personally. Incredibly challenging, but one of the things that has brought more peace to me than I could even describe. This is a very mature idea that nothing others do is because of you. That what others say and do is a result of their own experiences, perspectives, and perceptions of reality as they see it. That we all make inner rules about how things should be. We all have a unique set of prescription glasses of how we see reality that we think is the only way. And when we realize that everybody's wearing some kind of glasses different than ours, it can help us to become immune to the opinions and actions of others. We can even grow in understanding their worldview rather than feeling victimized by it or needing to change it. We're just allowed to have our own and recognize much of what other people are doing is taking their past experience and projecting it outward, often onto us, and that we do the same thing. In fact, this is one of the great benefits of personal growth work and introspection, is to be able to examine our own set of glasses and maybe change prescriptions. Probably the most powerful place that this second agreement of take nothing personally healed my own life was in relationship to my father. And when I was in my late 20s, he married a woman who had a lot of her own emotional and mental issues and projected them onto me. And he stopped talking to me for the last 7 years of his life. He didn't come to my wedding. He didn't meet my children. And it's a much longer story, but after a lot of discussion and contemplation, I actually decided not to attend his funeral. It actually felt more in integrity and self-care because I didn't want to have to explain this painful relationship to a bunch of random people, and I didn't want to go there and lie and pretend like everything was great. And because we don't know when people are going to die, I had actually planned to lead a retreat the weekend after his funeral, and I decided to follow through with those plans. And there was a beautiful labyrinth on the property where I was holding the retreat, and I got up early one morning and I walked the labyrinth with the intention of walking through my father's life. And each step I took was an age or stage, my own imagining of his life experience. And it was quite profound and healing to really direct my attention to understanding how he had evolved in the way that he had. And it became obvious to me that I was not the only person that he had cut out of his life, and that his fear of confrontation and his capacity to live in delusion and denial was an intrinsic part of his personality in the world. It was not personal to me. And so that agreement of not taking anything personally has made it much easier for me to move into forgiveness, understanding, and compassion, even when people are doing stuff that is honestly completely out of line. But I don't have to take it in or on myself. It's their set of glasses. So the third agreement is don't make assumptions. To communicate with others as clearly as we can to avoid misunderstandings or drama or hurt feelings, and to find the courage to ask questions and express what I really want. And not making assumptions can be really transformative in all areas of our life. Because again, we have our own perspective, and it can be really challenging to understand other people's perspectives. But when we take the time to do that, have honest, vulnerable, sometimes challenging conversations to get clear on what people are thinking, what their motive is, what they want, it can bring open-mindedness, peace, expansion, and perspective that's truly beneficial. I think about this couple that I worked with, Marcy and John, fighting over doing the dishes. And household chores can totally disrupt relationships. And they had agreed that she would stay home and take care of the kids and the house, and he would work and earn the money, at least while the kids were little. And she did all the cooking and the cleaning, and she wanted him to do the dishes after dinner. And he kind of passively refused to do that. And she had an inner narrative that he was disrespecting her and treating her like a slave. And when we actually brought the question at a neutral time, when they could talk about it without there being any dishes present or anything else going on, John was able to express that they had already made an agreement that she would do the stuff around the house and he would spend 40 to 50 hours a week working and making money. And he actually felt like she was overstepping their agreement, and she had never thought about it that way. And it took a little bit of coaching because she had been nursing this grudge for quite a while, and we can get really attached to our grudges, but she was able to see from his perspective, and they made a new agreement because she wanted to do some part-time work as the kids got older, that when she started to earn more money, John would be willing to do more dishes. And not long after that, she got a part-time job, and he started to do the dishes a couple nights a week. And the fourth agreement is to always do your best. And our best, whatever we feel that is going to change from moment to moment, circumstance to circumstance. It'll be different when you're sick than when you're healthy, when you're stressed or when you're relaxed. But when we do our personal best under any circumstances, we avoid self-judgment, regret, and self-abuse. And these are inner enemies that we can all do without. When we do our personal best, we can trust that we are participating in the unfolding of our life in an optimal way. Doing our best in some ways is aligned with telling the truth. There's like a spiritual principle involved in expressing our best self in the world. I believe it aligns us with our own highest good. And doing our best doesn't mean we will always get what we want or what we expect. In fact, we may not even get what we think we need. But if we operate from this position or intention of bringing our best selves, our best effort into any circumstance, we are raising the resonance for everyone involved. So when we give our best, try hard, put our resources together to create a good effort toward something, toward anything, it actually feels good and builds inner strength and self-confidence. And doing my best means I decide what my best is, not someone else, although certainly it can be motivated by other people. But pushing ourselves to do our best helps us grow. I love lifting weights, and lifting weights is a physical metaphor for what happens metaphysically. And if we don't do any exercise or put in any effort, there's a natural pull toward becoming weaker or things dissolving into chaos. Chaos and order are these two main currents that are always interacting with each other. And when we put our best effort, we're bringing things into order and creativity. And when we don't do anything, they will naturally devolve. Your house will get dirty if you do nothing to it, just from settling dust and spiderwebs. If we do nothing with our bodies, they will naturally devolve. When I broke my wrist 2 years ago, I was horrified at how skinny my arm became just after a few weeks of not using it. And if we put in a little bit of effort, we'll get a little bit. And if we put in our best effort, then we are more likely to get the best results. In fact, from a spiritual standpoint, I believe we will always get the best results if we put in our best effort in the long run. Maybe not in the short run. We may not get the guy or the job or whatever the particular goal is. But if we do our best, it will align us with our own highest good. And if we consistently do our best, we are much more likely to achieve our goals, dreams, and desires, and again, raise the resonance of what we draw to us. Just like our body is always responding to what we actually do, the larger system is also always responding to what we do. It is our actions, much more than our thinking, which create our reality. And we certainly get to decide if we want to put our best efforts into something or everything or not, but we do get back what we put out. I had kind of a sad example of this recently. I went to a clothing swap at a girlfriend's apartment in New York, and she had a wide range of people there from 20-somethings to 80-somethings. It was super fun, and there was a lot of really cool clothes there too. I get this super cute little black jacket with a fur collar, and I have never worn it, and I will probably bring it back to the next clothing swap. But anyway, there was this very cute, very frail older woman, and she was sitting on the couch next to me, and when she went to get up, someone had to help her stand up. And I came to find out that she had knee replacement surgery, and I just had a full knee replacement. And she said to me, "Oh, I never did my exercises. Make sure you do your exercises," because she needs help walking now. Or I should say still, because I imagine she had trouble walking before, which is why she got the knee replacement. And I was still struggling in my recovery at that time, trying to find the right balance of exercise to not hurt myself, but still strengthen. And she gave me the name of a great physical therapist who came to my apartment, did a full assessment, and gave me a whole new battery of exercises to do. And I absolutely have been doing my best. And I'm back to squatting and deadlifting at the gym, and my legs are already stronger than they've been since I was in my 20s. And that strengthening process has improved the quality of my life across the board. And because everything is interconnected, when we do our best in one area, it has implications we may never completely be aware of in all the other areas of our life as well. And many of us think about doing our best as getting the approval of others, but I think it's deeper than that. One of the most powerful teaching moments I've had in my life was at an art class in college. And we all went down into the basement of one of the buildings, and there was some huge machine, some kind of generator down there, and we all gathered around it, and he had us spend a couple hours doing a large drawing of this machinery. And we were all in different places, so we all had different perspectives on it. And so I spent a couple of hours on this drawing, and the teacher came over and he said to me, "It's technically very good, but it's not art." And he was right. And it's one of the places I continue to struggle in my artwork to orient from my own authentic self, my own personal best or creativity, rather than trying to make something that other people will think is good. People pleasing versus my personal best. And my personal best may not be approved of by others. They may not understand it. What is it that wants to come from inside of me? Our personal best is an act of creativity, bringing our own unique, authentic self into the world in whatever we're doing. And I personally think that is the best gift that we can give to ourselves, to others, and to God. And so I encourage you to consider applying the 4 agreements in your life, to be impeccable with your word, to not take anything personally, to stop making assumptions, and to always do your best. And these will change the quality of your life and your experience of it. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, please share it with a friend. If you'd like to find out if a block of spiritual psychology work might benefit you in your life, shoot me an email, info@reneemckenna.com. We'll set up a free discovery call. Deep gratitude to my supporters on Patreon. Blessings on your path until we meet again. This is Renee McKenna for Spiritual Psychology.